My name is Jasper, and this is my story. As a child, we moved around a lot. I felt very unstable. Very. Growing up, I never really felt like my home life was really safe for me. The biggest influences in my life will be my mother, my grandmother, that's it. My dad. My dad was a big influence too. My dad was. He was it was the opposite. With my mother, it seemed like I had more freedom to kind of do what I wanted to do, but it felt like that. With my dad, he was more strict. He was a big person to keep me in sports. It seemed like he knew how to deal with, the problems, like the social problems I was having. And he was stay in sports. I got a kid, like keeping me active into things constantly. And he'll pick me up. I used to always love it. After school, he'll pick me up. We'll go eat, and I'll just ride with him and just listen to music. And I felt so loved, it's like he understood me. Me losing my father was at the moment, it seemed like it didn't impact me, but as I'm older now, I noticed it did. I knew my dad was ill. He had kidney failure. He was diabetic. I used to watch him when I was a young kid, him doing his own dialysis at the time. Just thought that was something that my dad was gonna get over. Really wanted him to be back, and I wanted to just block all that out and just hopefully, your dad's out, this and that. So it was numb. I was numb. I was really numb to the whole situation. I didn't really process it. And I think even to this day now, I'm still trying to process the whole thing, because I've just been kind of going on with life. The moment I found out that I was gonna be a dad, I was super happy. I was very happy. I felt like I made this whole wonder world where, in my head, like I'm gonna be the most awesome dad, and I'm gonna do this, and my daughter's gonna be right by my side, and I'm just gonna be the coolest dad, the hippest dad. And it was just like I had all these plans, but through it all, it was always a steady fight. Me being incarcerated a lot played a big part of me being in my daughter's life. A couple times I remember my mother bringing my daughters in to visit me in county jail, Fresno County Jail. I remember my kid's mother taking my daughters back when I was in county jail, moving to Montana. I remember getting out, and first thing I'm doing is I'm going to Montana. And not knowing nothing about Montana, it was just I still had that image in my head, I want to be this father. I could be this father. And not even really knowing who I was, trying to put the pieces together of how to be, and how to work out the relationship. So it's the same thing, just a lot of bouncing, not stable. Relationship with Jesus became personal when I lost pretty much everything. And my kids, pretty much when I went to prison. And I was just on my last leg, and I lost everything. And I just felt like a failure. I felt like hopeless. I cried out to him. I was in county, I never forget it. I went to the shower, didn't want to cry amongst the men. I went to the shower. As I went to the shower, I started weeping. I was angry and just hurt. And I'll never forget it. I just heard, I just felt his warmness, and I heard him say, "But I love you. But I love you." And then at the time, that's when I just started crying, and I couldn't just say it. I was just still the snot and the slobbery crying, and I was trying to get it together, and I just heard that, just kept hearing "But I love you, but I love you." So at that moment, it was just okay. Everything kind of started flashing back to me about my grandmother reading the word to me, my mother giving her life to God. Just okay, this is what I need to do. I need to build a relationship up. I need to open his word. I need to see what he has to say to me. I heard again say, "Who are you?" And I didn't really know. And then I just really heard, it's like, just keep opening my book. I'll show you. And that's why I went back to Word. And I just, at that moment, that's when I felt like my identity was in His Word, into who He is. And I started really searching, because I got searching everything else. And I felt like that was just my last end. And I was like, this is it. This has to be it. Like, I don't know. I've tried into drugs. I've tried into friends. I've tried into kicking with the gang members. I tried into men that I thought they were men. I tried into all these other things. I feel like I haven't tried what you say in your Word and who you say I am. So I'm gonna go to it. And that's what I did. I really have a lot of stuff I need the Lord to fix that I can't. Even if they let me out now, I feel like my whole thing was like, I even told the judge, and like, I'm not looking to get out. I need help. I had a lot of men in there telling me, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. So I ended up going and signing my rights. And then they made a deal with me. The parents, they said, before I signed my rights, they didn't say nothing. But then I came back, they called me again back from in there. And they were like, well, I don't know what you've done. My attorney said this, I don't know what you've done, but the parents agreed to let you get visits and also to be able to get pictures of them. He was like, this doesn't happen. And I felt like at that moment, I didn't know particularly, but like Spirit was telling me like, hey, don't listen to them. Just you listen to me. And I did that, and then seeing the results of like my attorney coming to me and saying like, I don't know what you've done. And I kind of smiled in my head. I was like, it was Jesus. And then my sentence, I sat in there a year and a half, and not knowing what they're going to do to me, trying to fight the case. Again, I had other people in my area, you should fight it, take it to trial, don't plead guilty, this and that. But deep in my heart, even if I didn't do exactly what they said I did in there, I just knew I came to God. I knew all the way I was living in my life when I was out free wasn't right. And I knew that I may not got caught for all the other things that happened. And I may have got caught for this. And even though I felt like I didn't do particularly this type of thing, but I knew I participated in it, and I knew that there was way more other stuff in my life where I messed up at. The day I got released from prison, I was super happy. I was so excited. I already felt like a new man. And I built up these routines and things and serving Him, and felt His presence, and just seeing Him working with me while I was in there, and changing my heart a lot about forgiveness and who He is and who He called me to be. Because ever since I lost my daughters, or they've been adopted, I felt like I wasn't worthy of hanging around kids. I felt this like just looming, gloomy thing over me, like I'm not worthy of that. Like, I lost my kids, like who am I? It was still a growing process, and then even though God's done all these awesome things, it's like the adversary would try to bring up these memories in my head of my past, of who He wants me to be and not who I am. So it's a constant reminding thing. I'm gonna say it's not like a one-time thing, like God did this for me and now I'm good and I don't have to think about these things. It's a constant battle in your mind, and you have to continue to allow God and His Word to live out in your life and make that choice. A couple months before then, I text my kid's adopted mother to see how my daughter was doing, because I was always keeping in contact, and she would respond every now and then and send me pictures, but it'll take a while. So she hasn't responded yet. So it seemed like right after that, I went back, looked at in the middle of the kids' day, I went back and I looked at my phone and I got a text. And this is how God moves. It was just like something else. And she texted me, she said, hey, she's seen me get baptized here. And I posted, and she's like, I seen you got baptized. And I was like, yes. And she was like, that's awesome. And she said, when are you planning to come to see your daughter? When are you planning to come to Oklahoma? And I was like, time soon. And she was like, and I thought about it, I was like, cause I'm all like, I'm probably not gonna see my daughter until she's 18. And I really thought about it, I was like, well, she might be asking me to see my daughter. So I texted her back, I said, no time soon, but I was like, if it's to see my daughter, I'll come back. And then right away, and she texted me, she's like, yeah, how about December? So that was just a blessing in itself. I was like, yes. So as I waited till December, went to go see my daughter, we met, I talked to the adoptive parents, we sat and ate. It was a surprise. My daughter didn't know. And they called me in the room, in the living room. My daughter was in the room. I'm nervous as heck because I'm like, what is she gonna love me? Is she gonna run away from me? Is she gonna say, who's this? I never seen this guy before. So all that was running through my mind, nervousness. But I knew regardless, I'm just gonna love her. And I just thank God for this opportunity I've been praying for. So that happened. They called her out of the room. She looked at me, she woke up, she looked at me, wiped her eyes, and she just ran into my arms. She just cried. And I'll never forget it. The same cry that she was crying, as I think about now, how she was just like weeping, was the same crying was what I lost her when I was in jail, how I was weeping to God. And I didn't think about it till now. It was like literally, I held her and I said, it's okay, I love you. And I love you too. And yeah, that's amazing. It's like God reversed it. He's intentional. So yeah, that's how it went.